I went into the Somatic Experiencing training program. Have any of you heard of that? Do you guys know what it is at all? It's a program available for medical and mental health professionals to learn about the nervous system, how trauma is stored physically in our bodies, and how we can release it. A very targeted way of releasing the trauma. So, are any of you aware that you can feel the emotions in the body, that they store? Does this resonate for you, that if you feel anger, you might feel heat, maybe heat in the head or tightening of the hands, that sort of thing? And how about if you feel sadness? Have you ever noticed like a lump in the throat or a heaviness in the chest, that sort of thing? Has anyone not felt those emotions? And you don't have to raise your hand or anything, but I just want to kind of know how to gear the talk as well. So it seems that you guys are aware of this. Okay, great. So to start, I invite everyone to close their eyes for a moment. And I'd like for you to think of a resource, and what that would be is someone or something that every time you think of it, it always makes you feel good. Now, I don't recommend a family member for this because we have our ups and downs with the people that are closest to us. A lot of people pick their pets, or you could imagine your favorite place, like the woods or a beach. But I want you to really think about your favorite place, and then just notice what happens in your body as you do that. And now, I'd like for you to all think of a trigger. Now, this is not going to be some huge trauma. It's just going to be something that's really annoying, but annoying enough you're going to feel it in your body, like traffic, or somebody's late, or somebody doesn't write you back or call you back. And when you can feel it in your body, raise your hand just so I know where the group is at. Okay, and if you can't feel it, think of something a little bit stronger. Okay, so now I'd like for everyone to bring their awareness to their stomachs. And just kind of notice if you can feel maybe your shirt on the skin. Just kind of see if you can feel any pulsing, blood flow, any sensations at all here. Just become aware of your stomach. And if you're not aware, you can put your hand on there and just get that body cue. And now I'd like for you to watch this area with an objective, neutral, calm mind. So you're not making any judgments about the sensations that arise. And I want you to think of that trigger, that annoying trigger. And just notice what happens in the abdomen area. And now I want you to think of your resource that always makes you feel happy. Raise your hand if you felt a difference between the two. Okay, that's really good. Okay, let's move upward now. Bring your attention to your chest. And again, with that neutral, objective awareness, we watch with an attitude of curiosity. And think about your trigger. Very, very annoying trigger. Watch what happens to the body. And now switch to your resource. Always makes you feel good. Raise your hand if you felt a difference between the two. Great. Okay. Bring the awareness up to the throat. And just notice what your baseline is. Notice if you can feel any lump in the throat, or if breathing is constricted, or if there's just adequate flow. And now think about that trigger. Notice what happens. And now think about the resource. And raise your hand if you felt a difference between the two. Great, okay. So now bring your attention up to the head. It can really be anywhere, but most likely people will feel in their forehead or temples, but it really could be anywhere. And again, think of that trigger. And then switch to that resource. And raise your hand if you felt a difference between the two. Okay. And everyone keep their eyes closed, and just raise your hand if you could not feel it. No one will know, but I just want to kind of see what I need. Okay, and that's okay. That's all right. So a handful of people, no problem. Okay. So you can come back into the room. Does anyone want to share how that was for them? And that's okay if you don't. I'll just go into the rest of the talk, but you can see how we think of something and then it just shows up in the body. Right? It's kind of amazing how our thoughts can bring up certain emotions. So we're gonna tie all this in together. But somatic experiencing is based on the fight or flight aspect of the nervous system. So have you all heard of that? The fight or flight aspect, right? So the thing is, when we go through traumatic events, we're gonna have adrenaline, and it's going to make us want to fight, flee, or we're gonna freeze up, like prey. And if we don't do that, we're gonna have some degree of trauma. Most of us have some degree of trauma because we live in a very civilized society where we're not acting on our wild instincts like wild animals do. And what happens is we end up having to suppress our emotions, or we might be ruminating and then just like overthinking them and indulging them.